What's going on, Mets fans? I'm Brian. This is the Mets Mayhem Recap Show. The Mets and Pirates played Game 1 of their 3-game series at Citi Field on Monday evening. The Mets came into this series with a record of 26-15, a game and a half atop the NL East over the Philadelphia Phillies, while the Pittsburgh Pirates came in with a 14-27 record, in last place in the NL Central, 9 games behind the Cubs. David Peterson took the mound for the Mets. He's 2-2 in the season with a 3.05 ERA. Going up against Paul Skeens, the 22-year-old former overall first-round pick by the Pirates in the 2023 draft. Skeens is 3-4 in the season with a 2.77 ERA. Mark Vientos is back in the lineup at DH. Brett Baty's getting the start at third base. Luis Angel Acuna starting at second base with Jeff McNeil in center field. It's the alignment I was hoping for when McNeil and Alvarez came off the IL. It took a little bit longer than I anticipated, but the Mets have been running with it when the opponent starter is a righty and the Mets starter is a heavy ground ball out pitcher. So let's see how they do. As always, thank you for taking the time out of your day in advance to watch this video. If you want to support the channel, I would appreciate you liking the video and subscribing to the channel. But for now, Mets Pirates, Game 1 of this 3-game series at Citi Field. Let's get into it. David Peterson takes the mound in the top of the first inning. He's facing Ke'Bryan Hayes leading off for the Pirates. Peterson falls behind Hayes 2-1. Then he leaves a sinker up in the zone and away. Hayes lines it out to Soto. First out of the game. Right fielder Brian Reynolds up next, and he swings at a first pitch sinker down and away. Pulls it on the ground to Lindor at short, who throws over to Alonso. 2 quick outs. Brings up Andrew McCutchen, once one of the young stars in this league and an electric center fielder. Now he's in the tail end of his career playing left field in this game. He works the count full, draws himself a walk. Brings up the catcher, Joey Bart. Peterson gets ahead of him, 1 ball, 2 strikes, before losing him to a full count walk as well. So the Pirates have 2 runners on, 2 outs. For first baseman Matt Gorski, and Peterson strikes out Gorski on an 0-2 curveball. Couldn't check his swing, and the Mets and Peterson escaped the top of the first inning. Paul Skeens takes the mound for the Pirates. He's facing Francisco Lindor leading off the bottom of the first inning for the Mets. Skeens gets a generous first pitch called strike off the plate outside. Then he comes back with a changeup down, evens the count at 1 ball, 1 strike. He tries to paint a 96-mile-an-hour fastball in the corner, down and away, but Lindor hits a hard ground ball through the left side into left center field. Leadoff base hit for the Mets. Brings up Juan Soto. He gets ahead in the count, 3 balls, 1 strike, draws himself a walk. So the Mets are threatening here in the bottom of the first inning. Runners on first and second, no one out. Brings up Pete Alonso. Pete works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hits a hard ground ball to Kiner for left at short. He backhands it, tosses to Jarrett Triolo covering second. Fires over to Matt Gorski at first. 6-4-3 double play. Alonso hit it hard, but right to Kiner Falefa, who started the double play. Brings up Brandon Nimmo now. 2 outs. Lindor at third. And Skeens strikes him out on a 1-2 changeup over the middle of the plate. Mets threaten, but do not score. David Peterson facing Isaiah Kiner Falefa, leading off the top of the second inning for the Pirates. Peterson works him down the zone, and Kiner Falefa swings at a changeup down and in, and lines it into left center field, over the fence. Home run for Kiner Falefa, his first home run of the season. The Pirates take the early 1-0 lead. Brings up Alexander Canario, who the Mets DFA'd at the end of spring training. A lot of Met fans were upset by this. A former top prospect, had some potential, had a good spring training. So he's now hooked on with the Pirates, and he's getting the start in center field. He gets ahead of the count, 2 balls, no strikes. Then he flies out to Soto in right field, first out of the inning. Brings up the second baseman, Jarrett Triolo, who falls behind, 1 ball, 2 strikes. And he swings and misses at a 92-mile-an-hour fastball on the outer half of the plate, striking out, second out of the inning. The Pirates catcher Henry Davis is now up. 2 outs, no one on. He falls behind Peterson, 1 ball, 2 strikes as well. Chases the curveball down out of the zone, and he strikes out for the third out. But the Pirates take the lead, 1-0 on the leadoff home run by Kiner Falefa. Mark Vientos leading off the bottom of the second inning, and he lines a Skeens 1-0 sinker down and in into left field for a leadoff base hit. Brings up Jeff McNeil up next, runner on first, no one out. Skeens gets McNeil to pop up to Canario center field on an 0-1 fastball, 97 miles per hour, up and in, first out of the inning. Brings up Francisco Alvarez, who gets ahead of the count, 3 balls, 1 strike. Then he chases the splitter down out of the zone, fouls it off, brings the count full. He lays off another splitter, though, that's down as well. He draws a walk. So the Mets have runners on first and second again. One out, brings up Brett Beatty. Skeens works Beatty away. He gets ahead of the count. 1-2 strikes. Then he busts him inside with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and it strikes out for the second out of the inning. So 2 outs. Luis and Acuna up. Runners are still on first and second, and Acuna pulls an 85-mile-per-hour slider on the ground to Kiner Falefa at short. Tosses over to Jarred Triolo at second, forcing out Alvarez for the third out. So the Mets threaten again, but do not score. And at the end of 2, it's Pirates 1, Mets 0. David Peterson has a strong top of the third inning. He retires the Pirates in order. Ke'Bryan Hayes pulls an 0-2 slider down on the ground to Brett Beatty. Beatty fields it, fires across the diamond to Alonso, 1 away. Brian Reynolds then grounds a 1-1 changeup up in the zone, right to Acuna at second, tosses over to Alonso, second out. And Andrew McCutchen flies out for the third out on an 0-1 changeup on the outside corner, 3 up, 3 down. Paul Skeens gets the Mets out in order as well in the bottom of the third inning. Francisco Lindor grounds out to Jarred Triolo at second, tosses over to Matt Gorski for the first out. Juan Soto lines out to Brian Reynolds in right for the second out, and Pete Alonso grounds out again to shortstop Kiner Falefa to retire the side. David Peterson has another 3-up, 3-down inning. He makes quick work of Joey Bart, striking him out and getting him to chase on an 0-2 curveball down and out of the zone for the first out. Brings up Matt Gorski, and he becomes strikeout victim for the second time. He chases the curveball down and away for the second out of the inning. Brings up Isaiah Kiner Falefa, who did his best Ralph Kiner impression, homering in his last at-bat. He goes first pitch chasing, hits a changeup hard, but on the ground to Brett Beatty, knocks it down, recovers, keeps it in front of him, fires over to Alonso, and that retires the side. Brandon Nimmo leading off the bottom of the fourth inning against Paul Skeens. He works the count to 2 balls and 1 strike. Then he gets a 96-mile-an-hour fastball, belt high. Doesn't get inside far enough. Nimmo lines it into right center field, his 7th double of the season. The Mets have the leadoff man at second, no one out. Brings up Mark Vientos. Vientos fouls back a first pitch sweeper. Then he fouls back a fastball on the outside corner. He falls quickly in an 0-2 hole. Then he strikes out swinging and missing on a split out of the zone, 1 away. Brings up Jeff McNeil, and McNeil attacks the first pitch he sees. A curveball lines it into the right field corner. That drives in Nimmo to tie this game. McNeil coasts into second with his first double of the season. RBI double. Francisco Alvarez now up. He works the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Skeens gets him to ground a splitter down and in. Pulls it to Kiner Falefa at short. Throws over to Gorski at first. Second out of the inning. McNeil has to hold at second. 2 outs now, Brett Beatty, and Beatty takes a 1-1 slider to left. He flies out to McCutchen, and that ends the 4th inning. Top of the 5th inning, Alexander Canario leading off against David Peterson. He gets ahead of the count, 2 balls and 1 strike, and he hits it hard, but he lines out to McNeil in center, 1 away. Jarred Triolo now up, 1 out. He falls behind 1 ball, 2 strikes. He lines a fastball over the plate into left field for a double. So the Pirates have a runner on second, 1 out for Henry Davis, and Davis pulls a 1-1 curveball down and away to the left side. Beatty takes a step to his left, dives, makes the play, gets up, fires across the diamond to Alonso, 2 outs. Nice play by Beatty. Triolo had to hold up at second, so 2 outs now. Runner at second for Ke'Bryan Hayes, and he grounds a 1-2 changeup towards short. Beatty ranges over, cuts off Lindor, but he isn't able to field it cleanly. The ball deflects towards left field. Lindor races over to track it down. The Pirates held Triolo at third base, which I'm not sure why they did that. I don't think it was especially wise for a team that struggled offensively. Pretty sure he would have been safe in that play. Mets catch a break. Runner on first and third, 2 outs. Brian Reynolds at the plate. Reynolds works the count to 2 balls and 2 strikes, and he swings and misses at a backdoor slider. Down and in. That retires the side. Reynolds has been struggling lately. Usually this is a batter you don't want to face, but the Mets have kind of got away with it in some big spots so far. So the Pirates should have scored a run that inning. Somehow the Mets managed to escape, and this game is still tied at 1. Luis and Acuna leading off for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th inning. and he gets ahead of the count, 3 balls, 1 strike, gets jammed inside, a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, pops it up into the Bermuda Triangle between first, second, and right field. Usually a difficult play, but Jarrett Triolo from second base races over, makes the catch. A couple of steps from the right field foul line, 1 away. Nice play by Triolo. Big play for the Pirates, keeping Acuna off the bases. Back to the top of the lineup. Francisco Lindor is up, and he grounds a first pitch splitter up the middle for a base hit. But Skeens bears down. He strikes out Juan Soto on a 1-2 sweeper up and away, and Pete Alonso on a 3-2 changeup, and that ends the 5th inning. David Peterson working in the top of the 6th inning now, game tied at 1. Andrew McCutchen leading off with the Pirates. McCutchen falls behind, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hits a ground ball to the left side. Beatty with another diving stop. Gets up quick, fires the strong zone to Alonso at first. But even now, McCutchen still has good speed. He beats it out, infield single for the Pirates. Leadoff batter on. Brings up Joey Bart, and he lines an 0-1 slider to Brandon Nimmo on left. First out. Matt Gorski up again, and Matt Gorski strikes out again. 3rd time in this game. He watches a 1-2 changeup at the bottom of the zone. 2nd out of the inning. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa now up, and he lines a 1-1 sinker to Soto in right field. Base hit. So the Pirates are threatening again. 1st and 2nd, 2 outs. Alexander Canario up, and Canario has some pop. He takes the first pitch, curveball outside, off the plate for ball 1. And then Peterson goes back to the curveball. This time it's closer to the plate. Canario flies out to Soto in right field, and that ends the top of the 6th inning. Paul Skeens facing Brandon Nimmo leading off the bottom of the 6th inning. The count goes full, and Skeens strikes him out on a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, inner half of the plate, 1 away. Mark Vientos now up. He goes after the first pitch he sees, a 97-mile-an-hour fastball up and in, and he lines it over first base down the right field line. It bounces into the stands, ground rule double, so Vientos has a double with 1 out. Brings up Jeff McNeil, who gets ahead of the count, 3-1. And Skeens walks him. So now the Mets have 1st and 2nd, 1 away. Francisco Alvarez up. And Skeens escapes the inning, though. He gets Alvarez to ground a 1-1 splitter at the bottom of the zone. Right to Kiner-Falefa at short, who starts the 6-4-3 double play. After 6, we're still tied at 1. Top of the 7th inning. David Peterson still in the game, but that changes quickly. After a leadoff walk to Jarrett Triolo, the Mets go to the bullpen and bring on Jose Butto. Bit of an odd choice here with how Butto has been pitching lately, especially his propensity to allow inherited runners to score. Brings up Henry Davis. Triolo steals second base. So the Pirates now have Triolo at second base, no 1 out. Butto gets him to chase a slider down and away for the 1st out. That brings up Key Brian Hayes. And the Mets and Butto play close attention to Triolo. They disengage twice. Butto disengages a 3rd time, attempted to pick him off. And he would have had him if the throw would have been on the 3rd base side of second, but it was more so on the 1st base side. Acuna, catches it, tries to tag him, and Triolo is just able to get his hand back in. But because it's a 3rd disengagement, Triolo gets 3rd base. So now we have Hayes at the plate, runner at 3rd, 1 out. Hayes works the count full, draws a walk. So the Pirates have runners on the corners with 1 out. They're threatening again. Brian Reynolds up again. Big spot again for the Pirates. And he gets ahead 3-1. And he hits a slider down and away to Lindor at short, who tosses to Acuna. That forces out Hayes at 2nd. But Reynolds has good speed. He's safe at 1st. So Triolo scores. The Pirates now have a 2-1 lead. That brings up Andrew McCutchen. And McCutchen grounds a 1-2 backdoor slider right to Beatty, who fields it, throws to Acuna at 2nd, forces out Reynolds, and that ends the top of the 7th inning. But the Pirates break the tie, and they lead 2-1 on the Brian Reynolds fielder's choice. Bottom of the 7th inning we go, and the Pirates go to their bullpen. They bring on lefty Caleb Ferguson in relief of Paul Skeens, with Brett Beatty due up. The Mets counter by pinch hitting for him with Tyrone Taylor, and Taylor gets hit on a 1-1 cutter that just rides in too far. Mets have the leadoff batter on now, no 1 out. Luis Angel Acuna up. Taylor takes off on the first pitch, steals 2nd, 4th stolen base of the season. Acuna works the count to 2 balls, 2 strikes. Hits a ground ball down to first base. Gorski fields it, tosses to Ferguson covering, and Acuna is safe. That's right, safe. Acuna beats it out by a toe, literally by a toe. Speed kills, folks. Shades of Jose Reyes there. Infield hit for Acuna. Taylor advances to third base. The Mets have runners at the corners. No one out. Down one. Top of the lineup brings up Francisco Lindor. And unfortunately, Lindor strikes out on a 2-2, 79-mile-per-hour slur for the first out. Brings up Juan Soto. He falls behind 1 ball, 2 strikes. Not sure why Acuna didn't steal in the prior bat. I'm really questioning why he's not going now. Gets you out of the double play potential with Soto up. Ferguson works Soto away with a sinker, trying to get him to hit a ground ball to someone. He does get the ground ball, but it's a slow chopper to first base. Gorski fields it in front of the bag, takes it to the bag himself. Taylor scores. Acuna advances to second. There was no other play than to get Soto out of first. RBI for Soto ties this game up. Then that brings on former Met Colin Holderman, who comes on in relief to face Pete Alonso. And Alonso hits a hard ground ball. It bangs off of Ke'Bryan Hayes, deflects off of him, goes into shallow left field. Kind of for lefter backs it up. He's fielding it. Acuna was running hard with 2 outs. They're sending him home. It looks like he wasn't expecting it. Kind of hesitates a little bit, but he's coming home. He rounds the corners. The throw's coming in. Acuna's coming in. It's a good throw. Acuna slides, and he just gets his hand in. He's sliding feet first, but he tags the plate with his hand. Manages to avoid the tag at home plate. Safe. Close call, but he's safe. Pirates challenge it, but the call is upheld. Mets take the lead 3-2 on an RBI single by Pete Alonso. Holderman then gets Nimmo to pop up on a 2-1 cutter to keep Ryan Hayes in foul territory, and that ends the 7th inning. This is one major reason why I want Luis Angel Acuna in this lineup as much as possible, as long as he's hitting. Speed is a valuable asset in this game. Speed kills. He uses speed to get on safely at first base on a ground ball to first baseman that he beat out. And then he scores from second base on a ball that was a hard hit ball to the infield, kicks off the third base's glove, goes into shallow left field. Anyone else probably wouldn't have scored on that, but he did. So, Mets now have the lead 3-2 after 7. Top of the 8th inning. The Mets now have a 3-2 lead. Tyrone Taylor, who pinch hit for Brett Beatty, is now in center field. Jeff McNeil moves from center to second base, and that moves Luis Angel Acuna from second to third. Daniel Nunez coming on in relief of Jose Butto. Definitely a head scratcher here for me. Nunez has not looked good so far, but he does get the Pirates out in order with a big assist from Brandon Nimmo, who robs leadoff batter Joey Bart's home run in left field. The ball was hit over the fence. Nimmo jumps, leaps, catches the ball over the fence to rob him. First out, 1 big out. Brings up Adam Frazier, who's pinch hitting for Matt Gorski. He works the count full, then grounds out to McNeil at second base. Tosses over to Alonso at first, 2 away. And then Isaiah Kiner Falefa pops up a 2-2 slider right to Lindor at shortstop, and Citi Field breathes a huge sigh of relief. Bottom of the 8th inning. Holderman still on the mound for the Pirates. Adam Frazier stays in the game, comes to play second base. Jarrett Triolo moves over from second to first. Mark Viento's leading off for the Mets. He falls behind, no balls, 2 strikes. Then he flies out to Canario in center field. 1 away. Jeff McNeil up next. McNeil gets ahead of the count, 3-1, and draws himself a walk. Brings up Francisco Alvarez, runner at first, 1 out, but he pops up a 1-2 sweeper to Frazier at second base, second out of the inning. Tyrone Taylor now up, 2 outs, and Holderman throws a wild pitch, moving McNeil into scoring position. Taylor gets ahead, 2 balls, 1 strike, but he grounds a 97-mile-per-hour sinker right to Kiner Falefa at shortstop, who throws over to Triolo at first, and that ends the 8th inning. Top of the 9th inning. Mets lead this game 3-2. The Mets don't go to Edwin Diaz. They go to Huáscar Brazaban for the save opportunity. He faces Alexander Canario leading off for the Pirates, who takes the first pitch strike, but he grounds the next pitch, an outside sinker right up the middle, leadoff base hit, so the Pirates have the tying runner first, no one out. Ji Hwan Bae comes to pinch run for Canario, and that brings up Jarrett Triolo. And Brazaban gets what he wants. He gets him to ground a 1-1 sinker up the middle, left to second base. Lindor ranges over. He fields it. It looks like he might have taken his eye off it for a split second because he doesn't field it. He must have been looking at the runner coming into second. The ball kicks off his glove, goes into shallow center field. Lindor races to get it, keeps Juan Bay at second base. That was a for sure double play. Instead, it's an error on Lindor. Both runners are safe. The Pirates have runners on first and second. No one out. That brings up Henry Davis. And Davis drops a sac bunt down the third base line. That advances the runners to second and third. Acuna fields it, throws across the diamond to Alonso. It's the first out. Now the infield's in. Brian Hayes is up, and he hits a hard ground ball, but right to Acuna. Acuna has Juan Bay at home, but he took his eye off it as well. Doesn't field it cleanly. He recovers, throws to first base to get Hayes out. Pirates tied this game up at 3. The Pirates challenge the call at first, and it's overturned. Hayes is ruled safe at first. So 2 errors on the infield when this game should have been over. The Pirates tie this game at 3. They still have runners at the corners with 1 out for Brian Reynolds, who again comes up in a key situation for the Pirates. But he grounds a first pitch change right to McNeil at second. He fields it cleanly, tosses to Lindor at second, who fires over to Alonso. That completes the 4-6-3 double play. The Mets escape further damage, but we're going to the bottom of the 9th. This game is tied 3-3. The Pirates go to their closer, David Bednar, in the bottom of the 9th inning. Luis Angel Acuna leading off for the Mets. Could he redeem himself for the error he had in the top of the 9th? Not this time. He strikes out on an 0-2 98 mile an hour fastball up and out of the zone, 1 away. Francisco Lindor now up, and he grounds an 0-1 splitter up the middle. Kiner Falefa goes to field it behind the bag at second, but he returns the favor. He doesn't keep his eye on the ball. He doesn't keep the glove down. The ball stays under, goes into center field. So Lindor reaches on an error by Kiner Falefa. Brings up Juan Soto with a man on first, 1 out. Soto jumps on the first pitch he sees, and he lines it into right center field. Lindor goes first to third on the play. So now the Mets have runners on the corners, 1 out. Pete Alonso up. He works a 3-1 count, gets a 98 mile an hour fastball in the high, inner half of the plate, and he muscles it into right field, deep enough for Lindor to try to tag. The throw from Reynolds is too late. Lindor scores standing. The Mets win. Walk-off sac fly by Pete Alonso. A defensively messy game in the 9th inning by both teams, but the Mets escape with a gritty win. Now let's get into it in the takeaways. The Mets' mayhem player of the game is the polar bear, Pete Alonso. Alonso got the hit that ricocheted off Brian Hayes in the bottom of the 7th inning, that Acuna raced around second to score, that gave the Mets the lead at the time, 3-2. And he comes through again, the bottom of the 9th inning, runs at the corners, 1 out, tie game. All he has to do is put the ball in play, put the ball in the air, deep enough to give Lindor the opportunity to tag up, and he did just that. He did his job. Alonso's 8th career walk-off RBI. He's 3rd in Mets history, sitting behind David Wright with 9, and the great Wilmer Flores, who has the record at 10. It won't be long before Alonso holds that record. David Peterson threw 100 pitches. He started the 7th inning, but walked the leadoff batter, so his official stat line reads 6 innings. He allowed 2 runs on 5 hits. He walked 3 and struck out 7. He gave up the home run to Isaiah Kiner Falefa for the first run, and then the walk in the top of the 7th came around to score, due to Jose Budo allowing the hurt runner to score. I'm not sure why Peterson was allowed to start the 7th inning. It wasn't as if Triolo was a lefty and you're looking for that lefty-lefty matchup. I was equally puzzled by Mendoza turning to Budo in that situation. Budo continues to allow unhurt runners to score, getting his 3 outs, but not before the Pirates take the lead temporarily at 2-1. So another head-scratcher was Mendoza going to Daniel Nunez in the top of the 8th inning. The Mets had just taken a 3-2 lead. It almost backfires immediately. The first batter, Joey Bart, would have been a game-time home run, if not for Brandon Nimmo going up against the wall, leaping and robbing him of the home run. But Nunez did manage to get the next 2 batters out without any drama. So Mendoza must have gotten this game with the intention of resting Reed and Diaz no matter what. He turns to Braziban in a 1-run game for the save situation, and it's no fault of his, but he blows the save chance. Francisco Lindor took his eye off a ball and boots it. Should have been otherwise a double play. We turned that there. We have no on, 2 outs. Later on, runners at the corners. Braziban gets another ground ball, exactly what the Mets needed, and Acuna boots it. He shifts over to third base in this inning, and he boots it at third base. Otherwise, that runner would have been thrown out at home. But Braziban escapes further damage. He gets the 3rd big grounder that he needed. This time it's fielded cleanly by McNeil, who starts the double play, and they get out of the inning with the game tied. Offensively, Pete Alonso was 1 for 4, but had 2 RBIs. He gave the Mets a temporary lead, putting the ball in play, a hard grounder off key Brian Hayes in the bottom of the 7th inning, and they gave the Mets the 3-2 lead with Acuna coming around from second. Then he gave the Mets the permanent lead, walk-off fashion, sac fly in the bottom of the 9th inning. Speaking of Acuna, he was a spark plug offensively. He was only 1 for 4, but his speed was a huge factor in this game. He beat out that infield single in the 7th inning. He put the ball in play, which allowed Taylor to advance to third base. Then he got himself on by a toe, literally by a toe, as the go-ahead run in the situation. Shades of Jose Reyes, folks. Jeff McNeil had himself a good game as well, starting in center, shifted over to second base in the 8th inning. McNeil put the Mets on the board, tying the game at 1. He doubled in the bottom of the 4th inning. He went 1 for 2, and he walked twice, but he played solid defense in center field and second base, and he started that inning-ending double play in the top of the 9th inning when it looked like the wheels were falling off. Juan Soto had an interesting game. He had a slow chopper to first base that allowed Taylor to score. The tying run in the bottom of the 7th inning, not exactly what Met fans were expecting in the situation. Pretty sure it's not exactly what Soto was expecting. But he's hit some hard balls lately that were outs. So you know what? I'll take, and I'm sure he'll take, a ball that's put in play, not hit very hard, and it had positive results. So the run scores, tie game, bottom of the 9th inning. After Lindor reaches on an error, Soto aggressively goes after the first pitch, which is not typical for him. He likes to take pitches, likes to go deep in the count. He's aggressive. He swings at the first pitch, lines it into right center field. That allows Lindor to go first to third, and to set up the scene for Pete Alonso to get a sac fly to walk this game off. So the Mets win this game, 4-3, on a walk-off sac fly by Pete Alonso on the bottom of the 9th inning. They moved to 27-15 on the season. They dropped the Pirates to 14-28. Tuesday's game will have Kodai Senga on the mound for the Mets. Senga is 4-2 on the season with a 1.16 ERA. And the Pirates will counter with Mitch Keller. He's 1-4 with a 4.40 ERA. I'll be back to recap the game, as well as provide any other noteworthy Mets news. But until then, Mets fans, let's go Mets.